people say, and the belief that we have, is that our bodies are breaking down due to our age, and it's simply not true. So how that ties in with dieting is that frequently someone will say to me, well, I used to be able to do XX diet when I was all through my 20s and 30s. I could just not eat and the weight would come off and it worked fine. But now I'm 45 pounds overweight, my hormones are whacked, I feel like crap, I don't have any energy, and I guess it's just because I'm 45. Well, that's not true. Here's the deal. Wherever your body is right now is a result of what you've done. All that sloppiness in your 20s and your 30s shows up eventually. For some people in their mid to late 30s, for other people in their early 40s, for some in their mid 40s, for others in their 20s. That breakdown starts to show up. But it's not because you're at that age where your body breaks down, it's because that is the result of everything you've done prior. So you see, it's not that when you turn 45, your body punishes you and you go into this natural breakdown state. And it's not that dieting ever worked for you, because if it did, you wouldn't be where you are now. Where you are now is a result of everywhere you've been and what you've done. And it didn't work because here you are in the state that you don't want to be in. What Genesis Transformation does is we don't do dieting or looking to lose weight, to lose fat, and or improve their health. And so we do that by a high level of accountability. And we teach each individual how to eat for their particular body type. Now, there are some basic foods that we've learned that do not work, okay? That just do not work for the human body when it comes to weight loss. And there is a difference between weight loss and fat loss. Fat loss is when we train your body to get rid of that fat that your body doesn't need. And remember, we talked about that fat being cheap to the body, only 1 or 2 calories per day per pound of fat, and muscle being very expensive to the body, about 50 calories a day per pound of muscle expense to the body, right? And so if we feed the muscle and we teach the body to hang on to the muscle through the intake of the food and through exercise, the body will get rid of the excess fat, and the person will start feeling better and better and better. But when a person first starts working with us and their body is highly inflamed, which is what we mostly see, the first thing we want to do is reduce that inflammation. We want you to feel better as quickly as possible, and we're going to do that by reducing inflammation. So we're going to target the foods right away that we know cause inflammation for the human body, because there are foods that there is no question they cause inflammation. Fast food is one of them. No one is going to live in a state of health and subsist on fast food, period. Fast food is not a form of nutrition. It's not food, okay? Now, if you're changing your diet, do you have to go from fast food all the way to living on tuna and sprouts? No, you don't have to do that, because that would be what? A diet. And diets don't work. Besides dieting not working because you're reducing calories, we're also dealing with our human brains that are very habit-oriented. We have our tastes. We have what we like. We have what we feel we enjoy. And if you remove everything from a person's nutrition that they feel they enjoy, they're not going to have a good time. If they're not having a good time, they're not going to get better. They're not going to feel good. That's not fun. And the process really has to be fun. You really have to feel good. You want to feel better and better with whatever it is that you're doing. And so there's a few foods that we know are going to cause inflammation, okay? One of those is sugar. Sugar causes so much inflammation to the body that we've been able to even break it down to forms of cancer that it causes. The inflammation is so severe. Aside from that, from a fat loss perspective, sugar opens the insulin. It brings the insulin up. It opens up the fat cells to store fat. Now, we may say in our minds, you know, I'm just not right if I don't get that cup of ice cream before I go to bed. It makes me feel good. That's all right. You know, our minds, we say that. The reality is there's a whole chemical process that goes on with that ice cream once it gets into your body. It's got a chain of events that happen, and there's no way to get around that. it's kind of like doing drugs. You know, if you're going to get up and go for a run and you take 2 Valium and you go for a run and you're sluggish and you're tired, you know, you can blame that on whatever you want, but the reality is you took 2 Valium. And so if you're in the habit of eating ice cream every night and you've got 10 extra pounds on your body, you may mentally enjoy eating that ice cream, but you're not going to get away from the chemistry, from the physiology of what ice cream is going to create in your body. You know? And so food is a very emotional issue. So that's another reason that dieting doesn't work. Because you take yourself from where you are and you decide, say, you're not going to eat any carbs. Okay? Well, carbs are a comfort food for many people. If you completely remove that, number one, you're going to have that emotional state of deprivation that doesn't make you happy. And you're going to have that physical need that carbohydrates satisfy. And so you're going to get into a state of deprivation, you're going to get into a state of craving, you're going to get into a state of anxiety. It's not going to work. It's not going to feel good. It's not going to be fun. And you might last how long? A couple weeks, maybe a few days. And then when you go back to eating the old way, you're going to really build up those foods that you were trying to stop eating because you have this emotional connection. So how do we get around that in Genesis Transformation? We make the changes really slow. So that if this was a lever, over here is subsisting completely on fast food. So if you're a person that completely subsists on fast food, you don't want to flop it all the way over to tuna and alfalfa sprouts and salads at every meal. That wouldn't be comfortable. And like we just established, it wouldn't work emotionally and it wouldn't work for you mentally. Okay? Physically, might it work for you? Sure, except your body's going to go into some very strong detox that's going to be extremely uncomfortable, and mentally, that's going to turn you back again. Does that make sense? And so if you're over here and you're a person that lives on fast food, right? Say you're eating fast food 3 times a day. All you have to do is cut back one of those fast food meals and replace it with good food. Eating fast food still twice a day, you're going to feel better. You're going to go from here to here, and you're going to feel better. And every time you feel better, you're going to become attached to feeling better. And then you're going to feel a little more motivated to make that next step. So you're here, and then you cut out another fast food meal and replace it with some healthy food, say a sandwich. You're going to go a little bit better. And so you're going to make these little incremental changes, slowly, adding exercise along the way, and your body's going to improve and improve and improve and improve. You're going to feel better and better. The diseases are going to start to fall away, the inflammation goes down in your body, and you're going to start to lose fat. You're going to start to look good. And now you're hooked, and you're still not all the way over here to living on sprouts and tuna. And so the point is to take you from wherever you start and make those incremental changes to wherever it is that your body is happiest. Now, we identified sugar as one of those foods that causes the most inflammation. The next one is salt. Salt adds an incredible amount of inflammation to your body. And on a very simple level, one of the things that sodium does is, on a cellular level, it pushes water out of the cells and into the skin. And so it gives you a puffy appearance, right? Now, if the sodium is causing the cells to push salt out of the cell and into the skin, your body is going to be dehydrated. And no matter how much water you drink, you're still going to be dehydrated because you're eating a lot of sodium. Now, where do we find all that sodium? In processed and refined foods. Read the label on any packaged food and you're going to find a high level of sodium. Fast food is fully loaded with sodium.